Also, big disclaimer for this whole thing. You do not have to claim your rune on the first day. Not in the first week, not in the first, I don't know how much time we have for this event, but it is incredibly long. Do not claim your rune early. Do not be impatient. Do not think like, oh, I have something, but it's like a few rolls off, blah, blah, blah. I have, no, you have like legitimately 47 days. Make use of those days. Yo, what's up guys, Seiishizo here. Having still a little bit of cold, back from the holidays. You get those colds from these ACs, you always know how that works, right? So back from the holidays, as you might have noticed, I haven't been making videos for the last 2 weeks, like the videos that were posted in the last 2 weeks. Those were pre-recorded kind of stuff. So back again at my home. Well, missed a bunch of things, going to make a bunch of videos about a bunch of things. Events that we have currently. We have the Reloaded major update that we're going to talk about later in a future video. So if you haven't yet, like this video and subscribe to the channel. But for this video, we're going to look in the legendary rune crafting event. To be honest, very honestly, I do not like these events. And there's one main reason for that. There's people going to be either very freaking lucky and get 2 runes that are quad rolls like super high, or people get absolutely jack shit. And there's not really an in-betweener in this. So with this event, if you get very lucky on those, you can get like insane improvements. If you don't, you get like near to nothing. And especially for the people that get near to nothing if they don't get those crazy quads is what I'm making this video for. So you make a choice that even if you get something slightly shittier rolled, you still have a usable rune. Because there's a whole bunch of runes that if you just go, for example, you go for your slot 6 HP Vio and you want to hit the 30 speed. If it's not 30 speed, it's just straight up trash. You don't want to use this event for those kind of things. So you want to make this event in a certain way that you can say like, okay, even if it rolls in anything that I might not really like, I can still use this rune. And a very good example of a bad example I can give is where I went for, okay, I went for a crit rate, slot 4, and I want to get one that's high on speed. And if I'm not mistaken, okay, it's not that rune, but it could be that rune. It's this rune. This is one of those runes that I got from an event. So it rolled once into accuracy, once into HP, and then this one was... Oh yeah, I just re-rolled that. So technically I got 2 max rolls on this. Technically it's a usable rune for a lot of people. But in the end, if you actually want a speed chase on Swift, 23 is not going to cut it. And sure, a lot of people might say like, yo, I can totally use a 23, but trust me, at a certain point you get there. Like this rune, it looks very good, it's very maxed out on the rolls, but I'm not really using this rune out too much. Like, to be honest, it's literally on a placeholder like Gildong right now. And that is kind of what I want you to prevent of doing with this event, is going for those runes like, okay, I get this Swift specific rune. If it doesn't roll into speed right now, it is trash. So to be honest, like definitely if you get that good rune and you get that good grinds and you get that good stuff, you can definitely upgrade your account by a lot, especially on the Swift. But for that reason, I already say, maybe Swift isn't the way to go. If you would go for Swift, maybe go for crit damage Swift. Because if you look at it, crit damage Swift, like, let me actually get some Excel stuff going on and explain it from there. I think that's easier. Okay, so let's explain it from here. Let's say we go for a Swift rune, we go CR4, and we go for the stats, let's say speed, attack, CD, wait, not CD, def, HP, and we roll on a, let's say a 6, 8, 8. This is all readable. I think can zoom in a slight bit. Can't really zoom in on this one. Okay, I think it's somewhat readable. So let's say we go this, and we make this, of course, into the 18. So let's say +6. Can we say that +6, +6, and then we can say the +12. So technically, what we want to hit is this, right? That's exactly what we want to hit. But this is definitely what we're not gonna hit. So what I hit on the other one was the 16, and then still the 8, and then the 16. I'm not even sure if it was that. So this for a CR4 is not really that useful. But let's say we change this to a CD4. CD4, we still hit this. Def, I would make it CD, so CD would be a 7, and then a 7 over here. So let's say it's this. On a CD rune, if I roll into speed, it's good. If I roll into attack, it's good. If I roll into crit damage, well, that's not possible because this is going to be crit rate. So this crit rate is 6. And then only HP is somewhat of a roll that I would be like, I can use it on specific unit, but it's not really that much of a good roll. So technically, let's say that this goes 24, this 18. Good rune, right? Let's say this goes that and this goes that. Good rune. If it goes, for example, 12 in here, I'm just telling max rolls. Of course, you're not going to get max rolls all the time, but just for the idea of it. If it's this, it's like a slightly bit worse. If it's this and then this, it's quite a bit worse. But even this, you can still say like, okay, maybe have this specific damage dealer on HP that can kind of work with it. Or I'm just using like a bruiser-ish fast unit in crit damage and that kind of stuff. I can maybe work it like, let's say you're using a Teor and you kind of want your Teor to survive a little bit as well. Those kind of units, this kind of rune would work for a lot of things. Whereas for me personally, a CR4, I just need that speed to be like rolling in. Like if I get high HP, like a speed, like the crit rate units that I notice, like what are the crit rate Swift units? You're talking about Gianna, you're talking about Athena, you're talking about, well, maybe a bunch of other units too, but a lot of these units really want to have their speed in. I have been using that rune on Stella back in the days, but then again, Stella's not that much of an interesting unit. You cannot even put it towards like Teor, for example, because Teor you want a crit damage slot for, so keep that in mind. Also a thing, is Swift actually the way to go? Because you can choose Fio or you can choose Will. Keep in mind you have the limitation that you can only do one type once, so you cannot go double HP, you cannot go double the same room type as well, so you cannot go for double Will or you cannot go for double Fire. So you have to choose, pretty much everyone will choose between Fire, Will, Swift. And we can put that. So Fire, Will, Swift is what most people think go for. Swift, I would say, unless you're going for a Swift slot 2, because let's say we look at a speed, 2 speed slot 2, and we're looking at a Swift. So what stats do we want on that? CR, AC, HP, Def, for example, we make it a supporty rune. So this, and then you would say like, okay, we have this already. And if it would roll into higher AC, let's say you get a rune like this, this is absolutely incredibly good. This is super usable as a rune. If it would roll something into like, well, high HP, high def, if you don't have that rune for Swift, it's still useful. Would I recommend you to use this rune event to not speed chase? Actually, no, honestly, I've been saying it in the past. If you are really lacking on that slot 2, that could be very good for you. I would aim for it. However, this event is that good to give that potential to try to get your high speed slots in, and it's probably good for that. However, for me, for example, I think my highest accuracy on the slot 2 is around 22, so I might actually go for a Swift accuracy slot 2 with these kind of stats and just see how that rolls. But I'm not entirely sure yet. Also, big disclaimer for this whole thing, you do not have to claim your rune on the first day. Not in the first week, not in the first, I don't know how much time we have for this event, but it is incredibly long. Do not claim your rune early. Do not be impatient. Do not think like, oh, I have something, but it's like a few rolls off, blah, blah, blah. No, you have like legitimately 47 days. Make use of those days. Like normally we have like with this event, we have some other stuff that you can get from there like these. You just get your good grinds that you need. And then you have this afterwards, which you can craft 5-star runes on, and it's freaking garbage anyway. So do spend as much time on your runes as possible. At some point when you have one rune completed that looks kind of okay, don't accept it right away. Start working on the other rune and then go back and forth. That's what I recommend you to do. But then back at this thing. So for example, slot 2 Swift is definitely useful. What I actually recommend most people to go for is Fio and Will. Because Fio and Will, if you go for the slot 2 and it ends up like this, totally usable. Let's say you go for a Fio or a Will slot 6 HP. Slot 6 HP, you would definitely want to go like speed. You probably want to go CR, and then you have the attack and you have def. So 6, you of course make that a 28. You have a 6, you have an 8, you have an 8. If you get 18, this is definitely usable. Like, sure, it's not what you want. You want to have that 30 speed in here, of course. But definitely this is something you can use on, like, for example, a Vigor, or you can use on, like, there's a whole bunch of Carnal, there's a whole bunch of units that can use that crit rate on a slot 6. Same if you go for slot 6 attack, then of course this goes into that. If it goes crit rate in that, or it goes into these two rolls, like, you don't really want it, but you can use that bruiser at an 18 speed that will become, of course, like a 23 speed. Try to keep anything in mind. Any rune you craft, you're gonna have to keep in mind, like, okay, it's not going to roll into speed. Can I still use it with X? Can I still use it with Y? Say, for example, like a crit rate slot 4. For this, for example, crit rate slot 4 in here, then this would be, of course, attack. And that would be an 8 and an 8. In this case, if it rolls in any of the other stats, you can probably, sure, you with the crit rate slot 4s, crit rate slot 4s are most of the time you want to put that to your Praha, you want to put it on your Juno. Well, in this case, the Will and the Fire doesn't go on Juno. Could you go Despair slot 4? You're really speed chasing. And the moment you're really speed chasing, that's where you're going to get disappointment from this event. So that's the main thing I want to withhold you from. Do not try to force you in a specific path where you can get disappointment from this event. Try to go for a general setup where you could say, like, okay, if I get this, if it's a CR4 and it doesn't really roll exactly like I want, for example, it goes this, can I still use this? What kind of unit could I fit this rune on? And there's a bunch of units that can still kind of fit this rune. Sure, crit rate slot 4, most of the time you just want to speed chase, because a lot of the crit rate slot 4 units using are, well, pretty much AoE strippers or some heavy damage dealer, or, well, not even heavy damage dealer, but a lot of the time you're throwing this towards your Ethna, your Prahas, your Giannas, if you have that. I don't know what kind of units you have, like Zaratu throw in a weird unit, but a lot of these runes you want to make specifically towards one thing. You could say, for example, like, oh, I really need a more rune of an attack slot 4, and then I'm gonna put like CR in here and a 6 and this kind of stuff. And yeah, the moment that it would roll this, can you use a 23 on your more slot 4? Probably it's not even an upgrade. So try to keep something in mind that is an upgrade for you. Personally, for me, I will probably go for two things. First off is a Vio and Vio slot 6 HP. Vio slot 6 HP will have exactly these stats. I kind of have a rune already that is very similar looking to this, but I wouldn't mind another one. So this is one that I have potential that I will go for. Another one that I will probably go for is Will, and let's just copy this because that makes it a lot easier. Will, and that's the Will CR4. And then of course this becomes attack, and then this becomes whatever. The reason I go Will over Vio CR4 is that Will can be used towards more units, for example, as Swift units, Despair units, blah blah, all that kind of stuff. Whereas Vio units, I kind of have enough Vio slot 4 crit rates, but I can kind of use it on Will, even though my highest Will is already a 28 into a, or is it 27? But I think it's like 32 or 33. But I technically only have 2 runes. I have a 32 and I have a 24 or something in Will crit rate slot 4s. I can use another one of those. So these are my 2 options. One that I'm not entirely sure yet about, which I might go for as well, which is actually that Swift slot 2 that I talked about. And the main reason that I would say Swift slot 2, speed, yes, CR, AC, is because I want that higher AC in here. So I might not even go for the plus 14 on crit rate. I might just go for this one and actually hope it to get like, okay, let's see if it can actually get like a 40 accuracy or something. The rune like this is insanely good. Like this one is like super undervalued, I would say, but this is just straight up insane. It fits so many units in so many occasions. You barely have to take care of any accuracy in any other slot. Also, if you would say like, okay, I got 18 in here, 8 in there, and then you try to up it that way, that's also a very solid rune. But main thing that I want to say is try to focus for a rune that if you do not get your speed rolls, it is still a useful rune. That is pretty much all there is to it for me. In all honesty, like I mentioned before, I do not like this event. I would have rather seen them have an event where the event is like, okay, hero rune craft, and then we can make a +9. I would have really liked them to do that. So a hero crafting event where they do a +9, everyone can get a 24 speed. is a 29 speed with grind in a specific slot that they want. The last roll is going to be completely random because you don't have anything locked in there. I would have really liked to see them do this kind of event because it's a lot less RNG. Everyone gets a nice reward on the exact rune that they exactly want, and you can be way more specific, like, okay, I just need that 24 in the crit rate slot 4 or the HP slot 6 or whatever. You can go the 32 in the accuracy slot 2. That could be super nice, but this rune is, or this event is really that hit or miss, and you could be the one guy with a 30, you could be the one guy that has everything staying 80. So make the best of this event. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned a thing or two. If you haven't yet, like this video and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one. Definitely more videos are to come in the next days. So see you for those.